everybody, welcome back to my channel. Okay, I'm gonna talk about me for a minute and then we'll get into some footage from my last weekend. Got outside a bit, did some fun things. Spring is springing, the lilacs are popping, the leaves are coming out, so it feels good. It feels good. So first, about me. My favorite topic. Just kidding. I'm very self-conscious and it's weird that I'm doing this at all because it feels a little self-indulgent, but we're gonna get over it together. So, real quick, in this household, it is me, my husband, Simon. We've been together for 10 years this year, like dating. We got married in 2021 during COVID. Had a nice little courthouse wedding. It was very cute. I highly suggest. And then we partied in my parents' backyard. Highly suggest. Love it. Love him. And so Simon and I are here. We have 4 pets in the house. First of all, we have Milo. Milo is our toy cat. We saved her from a terrible roommate Simon had. She's been with us the longest. She is a little shy, so you won't see her as much. But she's always around and very sweet. Pork Chop, he is our first dog that we got. He is a pit something, American Bulldog, something mix. I am huge on rescue. I will never, ever buy another animal in my life. I did at one point, but I've learned. And you can learn too. Adopt, don't shop. Please, please, please. We got Pork in 2017 and he was 5.5 at the time. He's like over 13 now and he is doing well. He has a little bit of back pain, a little bit of strength issues with his back legs, but overall, very happy dog. Very salty dog. You'll see how salty he can get. And then we had Mr. Scraggles. Mr. Scraggles is no longer with us, but he was our first street cat turned house cat. We had a really crazy week in like 2019 where it snowed and it was so cold. We had been seeing him on the street a lot. We had been feeding him. He had never been inside for any more than a couple minutes at a time. But that winter, that week in particular, I was like, if I see this cat, I'm gonna grab him and I'm gonna put him in my basement, which is an unfinished Michigan basement, AKA access to dirt. I found him, I threw him in the basement. It was a tough adjustment, but we did well. And so for a couple winters, he wintered with us. And unfortunately, at the beginning of COVID, he had a large mass that was building in his neck, and it turned out to be throat cancer. He was an old, scraggly boy. He had a longer life than most street cats get, and we nursed him as much as we could, and we said goodbye to him in 2020, and it was really hard. Scraggle is deeply missed. He is a tattoo on my arm, friend to strays. He meant a lot to me. After Scraggles was Annie. Annie came to us February of 2020, right before the pandemic. Annie's about 7 or 8 now. Annie is very athletic, hunts the squirrels, hasn't caught one yet, thankfully. You'll see her around. She loves to sunbathe. You'll see a lot of sunbathing Annie this summer. And then finally we come to Ringtail, Artie, RT. I call him Fart Man. He's not stinky, I just think it's funny. RT is our second street cat. So he was on the street for a whole summer. He was quite feral. We couldn't get near him. And that first summer we saw him, actually, it looked like there was a ring or like something taped around his tail. And that's why we called him Ringtail. I think his tail was broken pretty badly. We started winning him over with food on the porch and like pets. And he got friendlier and friendlier. I TNR'd him, trap, neuter, return. He was unfixed, so that summer I got him fixed. He spent one night in our bathroom and then he went back outside. And the next summer, he was fully ours. So he has been our cat for a while now. He was indoor outdoor. Last October, he went missing for like a day and a half, and it was really, really scary. And let's not talk about how much I cried. But Simon built him a catio. So from a window in our house, he can go outside into a sanctioned area that is, contained. But yeah, that's our house. Simon, Milo, Pork Chop, Annie, Artie. Other things about me: I work full-time for a large nonprofit entity. I work with their databases. So I'm not like an architect, I'm not a coder, but I work with the database systems that they're using. So, but I am fully remote. I have been fully remote since 2021. I love it. It might be bad for me because I'm a hermit at heart, but I do work. But let's not talk about that. That's boring. Why I am doing this. I watch a lot of vloggers. My main intake of media is YouTube. I watch a lot of vloggers. I watch a lot of booktubers. And actually, when I say a lot, I look for a very specific vibe. So I have a few that I love, and I'll link them below. So I love, love, love Allison Pages. She's the reason why I am even doing this. She's been inactive for a year and a half, but I watch her all the time still to this day. Her vibes are immaculate. So Allison Pages. I also watch Rachel Maxey, her creative genius. Oh, the best. Kathleen Illustrated, Carrie Cakes / Carrie Can Read, and then Sid Bookworm. I don't know how to say that actually very well, but she's another Midwest girly, which I love to see, and Kathleen Illustrated. Love the Midwest. We're in Michigan here, so I watched them a lot, and I was like, I love this. I could do this maybe. I'm really bad at journaling / documenting my life, so I wanted to see if I could do it. So here I am. It's going to be a lot of lifey stuff. I don't do big trips often. If we do trips, it's usually a road trip that we can drive to. I go to a lot of concerts, so that's something fun. But other than that, we like to be outside. I like to read. I walk a lot. I am walking to Mordor with an app. It's all off brand. They're not licensed. But that's been really fun. Yeah, it'll just be my house, my neighborhood, my volunteer stuff. For the most part, it's going to be pretty chill. I hope. That's my goal. Okay. So, talking about what you'll see, these are my highlights, the things I like, the things I do. Volunteering. So I have 2 volunteer gigs. My first, I walk at my local animal shelter. I walk dogs weekly. I've been doing that for over 5 years. I started in 2019. I love it a lot. It's a way to get active. It's a way to move, but it's also amazing. Dogs don't do well in a shelter environment. It is extremely stressful. It's loud. It's weird. Some of them have come from homes that they're like, what the heck happened to my house? And some of them we just find on the street. And have they ever been in a home or a building? Question mark. I really, really love the dogs. It can be really hard. There's been a couple really tough situations. I've cried a few times. I've been scared a few times. But for the most part, dogs are truly amazing. And I've met some really amazing people doing this. I started walking on Monday nights with 2 women back in 2019. And to this day, I see them both all the time. One doesn't walk as frequently anymore. I think she'll be back soon, but we see each other, we hang out. They're my friends. If you want to make friends as an adult, take a class or go volunteer somewhere and stick with it and talk, because you can take a class and be quiet, which I've done. So I am constantly at the shelter, at least once a week. I also just started volunteering at my city library as a friend of the library, where I sort books and I get to go in the basement, and that is more of a solo thing other than our big events, but that's been really fun. So those are my volunteer gigs. And then I crochet. I have a ball of yarn on my elbow and the crochet hook. I've been crocheting for a long time, but just lately I've been making like garments. That's been really fun. It is kind of seasonal. I will probably pause crocheting for the summer, spring, summer, but we will get back into it eventually. I always do. I also make pottery. I'm currently a member at a pottery studio in town. I think I'm going to end my membership very soon. I just haven't been making time to go, and I haven't been like called to make anything, but I've made a lot of cool stuff that I'm really proud of. A lot of the dishes that we use every day I've made, and it's pretty cool. I don't think I'm done with pottery forever. You might even see the studio because I want to use up the last of my clay before I pause my membership and take a break. But pottery is definitely a passion. I never considered myself an artist, and then all of a sudden I was crocheting and making pottery and doing stuff, and it's been so cool. Entertainment things, this started during COVID. I watch wrestling. I watch WWE. I know it's incredibly problematic at times. I know it's dangerous. I know a lot of it is bad, but it's incredibly entertaining. We've gotten a couple of our friends into it, and they like it just as much as we do. So it started, I'll tell the story one day. It started during COVID. It has stuck around. We have been to see 4 shows when they've come through our town. They're coming back through this summer. We're gonna go again. It is great. Highly recommend. RuPaul has called it drag, and I agree. So we watch a lot of wrestling. Simon has gotten very into sports, which has also gotten me into sports. He pays for it all to watch it on TV. I never would, but since he does, I have gotten into it. So number 1 is hockey. We are Red Wings fans through and through. It's been a rough 2 years watching them, but there's always next year. And then we live in the feeder town to the Red Wings. So we go to our local arena and watch the Griffins a lot, who are on a playoff run, but they might be done soon. Cross your fingers. We watch sports. Simon plays baseball, a very like chill league he plays baseball with. But we watch a lot of Tigers as well. And I think we're going to go to a Tigers game this weekend, which will be fun. Other things I watch, like I said, YouTube. Taskmaster is like the ultimate show for us. It's on all the time. I could watch it forever and ever and never get sick of it. I like going to concerts. I've just decided that if there's a concert in town that I can get to fairly cheaply, I'm gonna go, even if I go alone. And I've done that a few times. I saw Jack White by myself a couple weeks ago. I got a ticket the day before because they went a little cheaper on sales. And then books. I want to be a part of BookTube. I love reading. I recently figured out how to listen to books because I'm a kind of slow physical reader. But I've been listening to a lot of books, and it has been really fun. So I plan on doing like monthly reading wrap-ups. Since I started like mid-2025, I plan on doing like a first quarter reading summary to get all caught up for the year. And then whenever I make videos, I'll probably just do like a what am I reading situation. So let's get into some of my prior week. Look at the weekend. We had some family time, we had some nature time. And then when we come back, we will talk about books. Hey, it's Thursday evening. I just took the dogs to a park. Pork, like, totally got into the water. He, like, fell in a creek. Can you get out? Can you do it? So he's dirty and wet, and he will be all night, so that's fun. It just got, like, so windy and like dark out. I can't unsure what's happening. Kind of chilly, and it was warm earlier, but it's been a good day. Let's look at my my messy yard and tulips. Here's my tulip bed. It is going pretty good, and all my daffodils over there. We have our catio. I think RT is. Hi, cat. Got a cat under the catio. The dogs. I'm standing on a little bridge we had to build for our catio to connect to the house. Oh, hey, Milo. Gang's all here. Hi. Gang's all here. How do people run? Wait. Hello. It is Friday at 4:53. I'm calling it a day. My computer's still on, but I think I'm donezo. I'm gonna go run to Leah's bookstore to sell her bird books. I'm gonna bring her a plant and pick up a book she got for me. And Simon's gonna come home and walk the dogs. And then we're gonna head out to a bike park. It's just a park. Simon wants to mountain bike, and I'm gonna walk while he mountain bikes, and then we're gonna get dinner. All right, see you there. Good morning. It's Saturday. Busy day. Hopefully library, Simon's family, concert. Let's go. Didn't go to the library. I decided to do some long-awaited yard work instead. I had some leaves that I had left, and it was just wearing at me. So I did yard work. Feel good about it. I feel great about it. But it's like 11. I haven't eaten breakfast yet, so I made some oatmeal. I'm gonna eat my oatmeal, chill out for a bit, and then figure out the day when Simon gets home, because I'm not sure what's happening. So, happy morning, happy Saturday. Hi, Choop. Hello. It's the evening. I'm very tired. I don't know why I'm so tired, but Simon's walking the dogs. He did bike things this morning. I did yard work. And then we went to a family event. It was Simon's aunt's birthday. So we did some family things. Taskmaster is always on at our house, 100% of the time. We leave it on for the dogs. New season came out last night. Yeah, I'm tired. We went to a birthday party. Simon's walking the dogs. I put a frozen pizza in the oven. And then we're going to head down to a brewery in Kalamazoo to see a concert, to see Future Islands, who this will be my 4th time seeing in 2 years, and Simon's 2nd time. He's been dragged to half of them. He will have a decent time, and he will go for me, and I love him for that. So yeah, gotta eat some food, gonna rest, probably laugh at Judy Love. She's one of my faves on Taskmaster. And then go to Kalamazoo, go to Bell's Brewery, see my favorite band. Let's do it!
What's up, Kalamazoo? How y'all doing? Wow, look at that beautiful sky. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. We are Future Islands.
Nice! Let's go!
So, my April reads. I had a pretty good reading month. I read 8 books. First book I read was Dallargut Dream Department Store by Maya Lee, translated by Sandy Jusun Lee. I mainly listened to this book, but I had a copy, so I kind of followed along and went back and forth. I read this for Allison Page's Patreon book club. So she is not active on YouTube anymore, but she has her Patreon where she does monthly calendars and downloads, as well as a Pocket Pages book club. So this was her pick for March. It is a magical realism. I think it could be called healing fiction. You know, there's that genre of like healing fiction in Korea, where not a ton happens, but it's cozy. I think it falls into that. It's about a girl who works for a department store that sells dreams to people once they fall asleep. Overall, I wasn't that in love with this. It was hard to care about any of the characters. It was a little slow. And for how small it is and like it wasn't a long listen either, I didn't really want to go back to it a ton. So I was kind of Most of the book club felt the same way. I'm glad I read it. It had been on my radar for a while. I gave it like 3 stars. So Allison makes bookmarks for every book club book they have, which I think is so cute. So this one says, I don't think humans are some self-driving car racing toward the finish line. We must own our own lives, start the engine ourselves, and sometimes put on the brakes. So it was full of like little wisdoms like that. Cutesy. Overall, There is a second one I just found out, which has better ratings than this one online. So maybe one day I'll return to it. That was Dallargut Dream Department Store. And then next was There's Always This Year, Basketball and Ascension by Hanif Abdurraqib. He has written a couple other books, some essay books about like music and sports and stuff. This is like his memoir, interlaced with his love of basketball. He's from Ohio. So a lot of Cleveland basketball, LeBron, all that stuff. I read this for a book club with my friends, so my friends in town here. So we read it together. We all loved it. We all agreed that to us, the basketball was like, eh. A lot of us tuned out the basketball. I kind of just like tried to picture it for like the sports that I do watch, like hockey, like a lot of the like feelings I can understand for like enjoying hockey. But overall, this man can write. Like, it was beautiful. I didn't want to pick it up all the time because it's kind of heavy. But every time I picked it up, I was so glad to be back in it. So I gave it like 4 stars. It is absolutely beautiful. I have underlined so many things. There's always next year. This moment is lost, but soon there will be another season, another blank slate. Possibility awaits. If you can believe in it long enough, destiny rotates, tilts its wild and colorful feathers toward everyone eventually. Another one is some of us would rather live a long life of what some might consider failure, but do it in a place that will catch you every time. I will take that over a triumph in a city that doesn't touch me back, one that holds me joyful shouts but returns no echo. Like, I have never left this area. I was raised here. I went to college here. Like, I'm 15 minutes from my parents' house. I like love the feeling of home and like settling in, and I felt that here. He loves his hometown. He talks about being unhoused for a while in his town, and he said, I have never loved the city more than I did in those first moments of wandering unhoused through its gentle vacancies and rebellious cacophonies. Just poetry. I think he's a poet. Oh, very good. Recommend. I listened and followed along in this. It's really nice to listen to because he reads it. The one thing you can't experience when you're listening is that each chapter, and they're not even chapters, they're like broken up by time clocks. And in the audio book, he doesn't stop for those at all. I didn't even know they were there really. So it's an amazing book. It's beautiful. His story is amazing. Recommend. Next, We Spread by Ian Reid. This is a library book that I got for free for volunteering. That's why it's very shiny. This follows a elderly woman who has lost her partner. She's living alone. She falls. Her landlord brings her to a care home that she picked out, but she cannot remember it. And it's a very eerie vibed book. You don't know if she's a reliable narrator. She doesn't know if she's a reliable narrator. We don't know if it's just bad. So I read this in one sitting, one Saturday morning. It is an incredibly readable book. Short chapters, spaced out. I'm a slow reader and I did it in a day. I really enjoyed this. Ooh, yeah, it's a good reflection on life and like being tied down in things. And I underlined this sentence: a burden to remain upright, to produce, to persist. That's kind of out of context, but it gives a good vibe of what the moral of the story is, even though I don't quite understand, and you don't get all your answers. So don't read this if you need all your answers, because you're not gonna get it. I gave this 4 stars. This was fun. It was eerie. It wasn't scary, but it was eerie. Recommend. Next, of Time and Turtles, Mending the World Shell by Shattered Shell by Cy Montgomery. This is a nature writer. I believe she has a couple other books about octopi, and chickens were her latest one. But she basically immersed herself with the turtle world, a turtle rescue nearby her, and learned all about turtles and rescue and the situation they're in. And then it was written during COVID, so it had some really beautiful ruminations, is that the right word, of what time means, especially after COVID, especially after all that we've been through as a world, I learned a lot about turtles. They are amazing. They have emotions, they have personalities, they recognize people. They're wild. They just, they are smart, but they just don't behave like mammals and how we are used to seeing emotions and things. So I highly recommend this. Humans, as we have seen, are notoriously bad at correctly perceiving the passage of time. Aren't we? We're really bad at that. Oh, there's this thing that's happened, at least to me, as the pandemic plays havoc with our present. Not having what the passage of time will yield has left me unmoored, spinning in space, as if my inner gyroscope were on the fritz. Time isn't just a metric, he said. It's a gravity that keeps us tethered to the world. Disconnected from time, he felt lost. Losing the sense of future, I have also lost the present, truthfully, he confessed. I've been crying a lot. I cried a lot during COVID. I cry a lot, period. This was great. I didn't give this stars. I have trouble starring nonfiction. I don't know. That's a me thing. I mostly listened, but I also followed along with this one. It's a fun time if you're in for like a nature read. Recommend. The next book I read was When We Lost Our Heads by Heather O'Neill. And it's basically a retelling of the French Revolution in Montreal. The author is Canadian. And every character of this retelling is basically based off of a character of the Revolution. I didn't pick up on that other than the fact that the main character's name is Marie Antoine. And the other main character's name is Sadie Arnett, the Marquis de Sade, and Marie Antoinette, if you didn't gather that already. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. There were too many characters. Nobody was likable. One was like maybe likable, but they appeared like over halfway through and like, It felt like it was shocking for shock value. It felt like there were too many things happening for me to understand any of it. I read this for a book club, for a bookstore in town. I was by far the person who liked it the least. Take my recommendation with a grain of salt. It was not for me. It did catch me off guard a couple of times. There was a twist that I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming, which I appreciated. I did not like it. However, I read it quite fast, so it was like digestible, but it wasn't for me, and that's okay. But I gave it 1 star. Oops. Okay. Next. I don't have a copy. I listened to Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory by Caitlin Doughty. This book, way back when, 2016, can you picture it? Almost 10 years ago. My coworker at the time had a copy of this book at her desk and she like loved it. And like literally 10 years later, I was still like, one day you're going to read that book that she loved about the crematory assistant lady. And I finally did. I listened to it, got it from my library. I learned a lot about the death process and how uninformed a lot of us are. Like emergency responders were told grieving families that they had to get rid of the body because it would like give them diabetes. Like, wow, we are unwilling to talk about death as a society. So I loved learning about it. I learned that I do not want to be embalmed. Don't put those chemicals in me and then throw me in the ground in a giant box. No, thank you. I loved it. Talk about death. Think about death. Talk about what you want to have happen with you when you die. Talk to your parents about what they want to happen when they die. Like, these are things we should talk about, and it shouldn't be taboo. It happens. It's coming for all of us. I happen to not be super frightened by that. I know how it can frighten a lot of people. Don't ask me if I'm afraid of death when I'm actively sick, because I will be afraid then. I had a great time. If you're interested in crematory, the death process, this is like half memoir, half like tips, things learned from working in the death industry. I would recommend Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, for sure. Next, Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This was another library book that I got to take home. I was feeling a little bogged down by my current reads, and I needed like a quick, fun, pick-me-up thriller. I think this did the trick. I was completely flabbergasted by the end. I told my friend who had read it, I feel like I wasn't told the rules of the game. And that still stands. However, it was fun. I flew through it. It's a quick read. It's about a family that get together at their grandma's house, which is off the coast of England, that has a causeway to get to the home. And when the tide's in, you can't leave. So it is a, what is that called? A train car mystery. Did Agatha Christie create that genre where like your suspects are all present? So I had a good time. I was a little angry at the end, but it made me like feel things, which I think is good. It kind of felt Knives Out-ish at the beginning. A terrible family being terrible to each other kind of situation. I would read more of Alice Feeney. This is my first thing I read of hers. I would read more, and I would recommend it. And I think I'm going to pass this copy on to a friend who likes thrillers, so I'd say go for it. Simon read this, and he didn't remember a thing about it, so maybe I'm just being like too much about it. But Daisy Darker, I think three stars, maybe a little more, 3 to 4, but probably a 3-star for me. Recommend. Next, Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I talk about this in a vlog, but I got to see John Green recently do an author talk with Kaveh Akbar, who wrote Martyr. This was fantastic. Sometimes learning new things can be really daunting, but not when John Green does it. He knows the way to get you invested. It was great. I learned a lot. He did say there will be new chapters when the paperback comes out because of our administration. I'm not going to say his name. I listened to this book, which John reads, which I love. I bought a copy at the talk because he signed it. Love it, love it. A lot of this book revolves around him visiting a hospital in Sierra Leone and meeting Henry, a boy with tuberculosis. At one point he says something like, I care about tuberculosis because of Henry. And I care about tuberculosis because of John Green. And I think that's a pretty impressive talent to get people invested in something that's really hard to fathom, like 1.5 billion people, that are suffering and dying with this disease that we have cured, that we will not properly distribute resources and could potentially make it worse because of that. So it was great. Highly recommend. His other book, The Anthropocene Reviewed, was a 5-star read for me in 2024. This is a 5-star read for me in 2025. I hope there's a 5-star read in 2026. That'd be really cool. Well, I was late to the game on Anthropocene, so I'll give him a year. 2027, please. Please and thank you, John Green. Recommend. So those were the 8 books I read. I also recently purchased 2 books. So let's talk about those. In a later video, I'm going to show you all the things that I'm getting from the library that I get so lucky to be able to take for free. We'll do a stash review of what I took from the library very soon. But I purchased a couple books from my local bookstores that I'm excited about. So the first one isn't mine, but it is called They Called Us Girls, Stories of Female Ambition from Suffrage to Mad Men. By Kathleen Courtney Stone. My cousin is a woman engineer in the manufacturing field, and she's a badass. And she is part of this global organization about women in manufacturing. And I think one of her contacts from that wrote this book. She was going to buy it. She's not a huge reader, and she was going to buy it online. And I said, where are you buying that from? And she said, ... the word that starts with A. And I said, don't. I literally yelled at her. I said, don't. I will get it for you. So I got it from my local bookstore. Don't buy books from the A place, please. I think this sounds really cool though, so I wanted to show it off. It's the story of a couple different women doing badass stuff. So very cool. I'm excited to hand this off to her. On Indie Bookstore Day, I bought Wild Girls by Taya Miles. It says Wild Girls: How the Outdoors Shaped the Women Who Challenged a Nation. So it's about women that we know: Harriet Tubman, Sacagawea, Louisa May Alcott, and like what their relationship to nature was. It looks digestible, which I love for a nonfiction. I get overwhelmed by nonfiction, so I look for a certain thing in them, and I think this is going to be it. So this is cool. It's not going to the top of my to-read list, but I'm excited to have it in the TBR pile. Next, I am pumped about this one, okay? So I have to give a little context. On the way to the author talk with John Green and Kaveh Akbar, I was with my friend Emma, and she, a couple weeks prior, had said, hey, have you read this book yet? And I said, no, what is it? And she's like, oh my God, it's the best book I've read in a long time. You have to read it. And so on the way, we went together. On the way to the talk, she said it again and was like, I'm going to give you my copy. You have to read this book. Then during the talk, so this library that I went through, they do this talk. This is the second time they did it, but it is with two authors. So it was Kaveh Akbar and John Green. Last year, it was Ann Patchett and Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson wrote one of my favorite books of 2024, Nothing to See Here. And Ann Patchett, of course, wrote Tom Lake. She is from Michigan, not my part of Michigan, but she is from Michigan, so it was like a big deal to have her. And at each talk, they asked the authors who we should bring next. And so Ann Patchett and Kevin Wilson said Kaveh Akbar and Tommy Orange. Tommy Orange was originally supposed to be there. He had a conflict. John Green stepped in. So they asked the same question to them. And Kaveh, I think that's Kaveh. I'm sorry if my pronunciation is off. Kaveh said The Antidote by Karen Russell. And Emma's been ranting and raving about this book, my best friend. So I had to go buy it after that, of course. So Karen Russell wrote Swamplandia, which I read like over a decade ago. And I unhauled my copy of it a long time ago when I wasn't reading so much. And now I'm kind of bummed about it. I think I might revisit it at some point. But I am so incredibly excited to read The Antidote. I've heard it's absolutely bonkers. It's about like giving away your memories, but then the Great Depression hits, and I don't even want to read the summary because I want to be like incredibly blown away by where this goes, and so that's my plan. I know like a eensy bit about it, but I am pumped. So I'm very, very excited to have this one on my shelf as well. Before I read that, though, I have to read these two books. Human Acts by Han Kang, and then Beautyland by Marie Helene Bertino. These are two upcoming book club books for my local bookstore. This one's in a week. I gotta start this one. But she won a Nobel Prize in Literature recently. This is a sci-fi pick, but the bookseller that is putting on the book club said, I'm interested to see what people think about this being a sci-fi book. So I'm excited about these. And then I have a book club with my friends. I have a copy waiting for me, but I'm going to look up the name of it because I can't remember the name of it. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. My friend book club, this is the same book club that read There's Always This Year, and now we're moving on to fairies. So we're unofficially just trying to hit all the genres. We've done a murder mystery. We've done some nonfiction. We did a fiction. We did a lot. We were like, we haven't read any fairies yet. So we're reading some fairies. Hopefully it's a good time. So yeah, that was my April reads. Some upcoming reads in May. I've had some things going as well. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you stick around and we can talk books. And if you want to give me recommendations, I will take them. But yeah, thanks for being here, and I will see you soon. Bye.